On the phone with Dan Willis, user experience consultant to Sapient. His clients include American Museum of Natural History in New York City and the FBI. After working as a print designer and a magazine art director for Tribune Co, he designed his first website in 1995. He was WashingtonPost.com's first director of user experience and had the same title at PBS.org. Dan, good afternoon, and thanks for agreeing to the interview.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for calling.
You bet. You recently wrote a thought-provoking piece entitled, "Everything You Know About Web Design is Wrong." Can you summarize that article, and can you provide us with a couple of walkaways?
Yeah, sure. I guess it was kind of a long article, and so I don't want to do it disservice by skipping a bunch of stuff, but let me skip a bunch of the stuff. I think at the crux of it, what I'm saying is that people, I think, are making a mistake when they treat the web as a medium onto its own, that it has become something new. I think, in fact, really the best you can say about it now is that it's an extension of where we were with print design, and that it has not as a medium transcended yet. It's gonna be its own thing, but it's not quite there. When it gets there, I don't think it's going to be just an extension of print. And so not only do we make a mistake by saying it's already there, we make a mistake by thinking that extending print is the way to develop a new medium. I think, in fact, as a new medium, it's going to have pieces, and let me say, first of all, that I actually don't know what it looks like once it's already there. I wish I was that sharp, but I can't really picture it. I can start to see stuff and agree with some other folks who see some stuff that say when it gets there, it's going to have certain attributes, and we can start to track them now. An example of that would be what's going on with Twitter right now. So, or microblogging as a more generic statement. I've always had sort of a love-hate relationship with Twitter. The superficiality of it was really driving me crazy. So for the longest time, I resisted getting involved. And then I read a piece in the New York Times that suggested that what's going on with Twitter is at the exact same moment, both really superficial, just like I thought it was, but also meaningful. And the meaningful part is this idea of one of these elements that's going to be part of a transcendent web is this idea of ambient awareness. So Twitter, I've always had this love-hate relationship with Twitter where the superficiality of it made it really hard for me to care what somebody had for breakfast, and I couldn't understand why I would tell somebody what I had for breakfast. But this New York Times article suggested that at the very same moment something superficial is going on, they suggest that something profound is going on, something profound that has actually been going on outside of web experiences for as long as there have been human beings. And it's this idea of ambient awareness, that the combination, the aggregation of 1,000 tiny things about individuals that we talk to tell us more about them than the words that come out of their mouths. And that's actually something that's going on with when microblogging is going on, when you're sending these tiny bits of information. It's sort of like the gestures and mannerisms that help define you in real conversation between two human beings. So that's pretty fascinating. And the idea that it could be superficial, hey, this is what I had for breakfast, but the combination of 1,000 messages about somebody for breakfast, I now know them in a way that I, in fact, can't know them unless I was near them. So you basically have a relationship with people you never physically meet, and you, in at least one way, know them as well as if you met them. That's powerful stuff. That's an element that I expect to be in the transcendent web when the web transcends. So I don't know what it looks like, but it's not too early to start identifying elements that we think may survive there. Another one, another one that has even a broader, I use the ambient awareness because it's a nice example of something that's emerged that could actually be important, but right now is just a curiosity, right? What's going on with Twitter? People are like trying to figure it out. It's like, what is this? Why is it seems silly, but why is this sticking around? Why are we still talking about this? And so that ambient awareness is a great example of trying to figure out what are the elements that are going to be in the transcendent web. Another one that has probably a broader impact and really touches stuff more is the idea of the experience that users are going through is the content. So it's not just I have content and then users experience it, which definitely happens. But the experiencing of that content in some ways is more important than the content itself. So to take that in the physical world, it's kind of like a roller coaster. It's kind of like a theme park. If you think about an experience that somebody has at a theme park, parts of that are heavily designed, and other parts of it absolutely can't be designed because the user has to design it. So I can figure out the engineering behind the best roller coaster on the planet. And when you're riding that roller coaster, you're going to have an experience that is heavily influenced by what I designed. But another major impact on that experience is what you had for lunch, or who you're sitting next to, or what you rode before and what you're going to ride after that. So essentially the park goer, the theme park goer who's riding this roller coaster is co-designing their experience, and it's the experience itself that is the content. It's not like there's a separate thing and experiencing. It is the experience that's the content. Content is the experience. And that's relevant to where I think we're going to end up with a transcendent web, because I think that's what web design becomes. Instead of an extension of what we did with print design, basically give us a different kind of distribution model and give us different tools, but let us basically use the same part of our brains as print design. Rather than that, this says, no, you're going to be more like the designer of a roller coaster, who absolutely depends on the user to co-design the work that you do, but you put pieces in place. It's not just random. It's not random where a roller coaster is located, and it's not random where food is available around a roller coaster or how the roller coasters are clustered. It's also not random how the roller coaster itself is designed. So what we'll start to do, I think, in the design of the transcendent web is to design these experiences as a combination of elements that the user is going to string together in the way that makes the most sense to them. We kind of do that now, but again, we do it sort of from a print bias, meaning we come up with 3 or 4 scenarios of how they could work through our 3 or 4 ways that they could take a linear path through our content, and we think that we're doing the same thing, and that's not the same thing. Experience design is really about having these independent, free chunks of things we design, and they don't get strung together until the user strings them together.
Appreciate that perspective. For those thousands or hundreds of thousands of designers currently working in the web space that are from the traditional print environment, or those thousands that are now entering into the web space, would you have any parting advice for them? What would you like them to consider when considering the notion of transcending print design into boundaries?
I think that that the successful, because this has been going on for a while, and I'm one of them. I'm one of many that had a pretty successful career on the print design side, and then came online and had to deal with a lot of interesting issues. So I guess my parting thought is one that was true 10 years ago, and it's going to probably be true for the next 4 or 5 years, which is the first thing you need to do is completely let go. You have to forget about control. It's not just minimizing control. It's not finding new ways to control. It's you let go of the control you had when you had a printed document, and we talk about pixel perfect, right? We say it's going to be exactly here. Well, this is more than the details of pixel perfect. This is the attitude of my job is to control elements and create the thing I'm going to design. And this needs to be the opposite of that. There are things that you can influence, but you need to completely let go of the idea of control. The designers that have done that as they move from print to online and over the last 10 years have been much more successful than the people that have forced it on. Early in the web, the way you saw this kind of control show up is that there was a love affair in the late 90s with PDFs, right? You had print designers saying, no problem, I can adjust to the web. Look, I'll just use a PDF. And the problem was it didn't satisfy user goals. It was to the benefit of the designer and not to the benefit of the users. And because of that, it failed. There's still a great use for PDFs, but that ain't it. It's not so you can control exactly how elements are so you can design a site. How it plays itself out now, and I'll probably get myself in some trouble for saying this, is the fascination with Flash. It's not that Flash isn't relevant. It is. But the level of control that people are still forcing into an environment where control is not relevant produces Flash animations which are beautiful and do not satisfy user goals. And just like PDFs that didn't satisfy user goals, they will fail. So I just saw something for Patagonia, where they had created this thing that was very 2001, except that it was unbelievably beautiful, where they had this experience and there were hot points on the screen, and it's like, okay, this is extremely well done, but this is entirely a print solution forced online. And the problem was the client and or the people that executed it still were looking for control that doesn't exist. So first, let go of that control, And now take the same creativity that made you great and say, okay, without control, how do I get stuff done I want to get done? And the answers they're going to come up with are going to be new kinds of answers for a new kind of medium, and they're going to be the people that can make that jump are going to be highly successful, and the people that aren't. But what you're getting now is a generation of designers who never had that print background, and that can be a little irritating because they make some of the same mistakes that that old geezers like me have made over and over again. But it's actually really wonderful because without the bias of our experience, they're going to go places they wouldn't go otherwise. My biggest frustration is people that come in without that, who come in, they're not tainted by print, but then they get beaten down into coming up with basically print solutions. The better ones are the native designers who are saying, you know what, I reject that. I'm in a new place. I'm going to try something new. They're the people that are going to go nuts and do really interesting stuff.
We certainly appreciate all your thoughts, your perspective, and for your time today.
Hey, my pleasure. I love talking about this stuff.
Great, thank you.